Hello everyone! Today I want to share with you my favorite recipe for sourdough baguette. This bread is made from only water and flour and a little bit of salt. It is super fun to make and it tastes amazing. Let me show you how I do it. Always use the sourdough starter at its maximum rise, and we'll need 160 grams of active sourdough starter. The easiest way to measure the ingredients is to put the bowl on top of the measuring scale. That way you won't have to use any extra containers. Set the scale on 0 and measure 160 grams of the starter. I always recommend to use warm water to speed up the fermenting process, and the best temperature would be 90 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm setting the scale to 0 and I'm measuring out 220 grams of warm water. Add 400 grams of white all-purpose flour. Give it a quick mix. And add 1 teaspoon of salt. Now I'll be mixing until the dough will start to change the structure. It will be kind of tacky and wet. If you have a stand mixer, you can always do this with the mixer with the dough hook. And this is what we need. You can see the dough got kind of wet, the structure changed. That's perfect. Cover it with a damp towel and let it rest for about 1 hour. Best way is to put the dough in a warmer place, like in the sunlight or in a closed microwave, somewhere where the dough will rise faster. But if you have colder temperature in your house, it might take you a little longer. And you can see the dough did rise a little bit, maybe 40%, and now I will do the stretch and fold. Basically, you take a side of the dough and you fold it inwards toward the center. And the purpose of doing this is we're trying to trap more air, and the oxygen will help the dough to rise, so try to create as much air bubbles as possible. Cover the dough with a damp towel again and let it rise for another hour. And you can see the dough did increase in size, maybe 40%. And now we'll do the coil fold. Use a little bit of water on your hands to prevent the dough from sticking. So we're stretching the dough upwards and folding the dough on itself. And then turn it sideways and do the same on the other side. We're trying to create more air bubbles so the oxygen will help with the fermentation. And then turn it over and do it again on the other side. And then I will turn it again and do it one last time. So usually it takes about 3 or 4 turns. And this is how it looks from the side. You can see those rolls. The dough is rolled under itself. That's what we need. We need those air bubbles. Cover the dough again and let it stand for another hour. And now I'll do the shaping. I'll need some flour on the surface where I'll be working with the dough. And you can see how beautiful the dough looks. All those air bubbles, and it rised about half of its size. Try to be gentle with the dough. You don't want to pop those bubbles that we created earlier. I know 2 different ways how to shape the baguette, and I will show you both. This one is the one I use. Stretch the dough on one side and fold it toward the center, and then do the same on the other side. Then from top to the center, and then from the bottom to the center. Then I will kind of seal it, and then stretch and roll it over itself. And then seal it again. This helped to create a lot of air bubbles inside the dough. And now I'll stretch it gently to the size of the baguette I want to have. And now I'll seal it one last time. I'm using 22 inches rattan basket, and I'm flouring the surface to prevent the dough from sticking, and also lightly flouring the baguette. Now gently transfer the baguette to the rattan basket, and you want the stitches to be facing upwards. Lightly flour the top of the baguette. cover it with a towel and let it rise until it doubles in size. And this is the other way how you can shape the baguettes. I find this way a lot easier, but I find better result with the first method. Gently stretch the dough to about 10 by 10 inch square. And now you'll roll up the dough, creating a stick. This method also traps air bubbles. Then seal the dough. The baguette did double in size, it's ready to be baked. I'll put some water in a heat-resistant container and I'll put that inside the oven. Preheat the oven to 460 degrees Fahrenheit. The oven is now hot and I'll transfer the bread to the baking tray I'll be using. Always score the bread because it'll help to release any tension and also it'll help the bread to expand. When baking at home, you always want to create as much steam in your oven as possible. Add half of a cup of water to your oven. The steam will help the bread to rise more. Bake at 450 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 minutes. I really hope that this was kind of helpful, and don't forget to subscribe for more recipes coming soon. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon.